I've managed to cross off several games from my Summer Backlog Challenge 2018 list so far, and here I am with the first review of what will hopefully be a minimum of 5, but potentially as many as 10. For those who are not all that familiar with Night in the Woods, it is an indie adventure title developed by Infinite Fall and published by Finji. It was first released on PC in February of 2017 and has since made its way to all of the major consoles, including the Nintendo Switch, earlier this year. I played the game on my Xbox One because I picked it up around Christmas time in a sale. I had heard many good things about the game from the likes of Alex Navarro from Giant Bomb and others who recently discovered it due to the Switch release, so it was an easy choice for the first game I wanted to finish as part of this year's challenge. So how was it? Let's take a look. This is really where the game shines the most, which is just as well because most of the gameplay does revolve around the characters and their antics. The main character is May Borowski, an anthropomorphic cat-like creature who has just returned to the town where they grew up after suddenly deciding to bail on college life for reasons that are undisclosed until later in the game. Possum Springs is a quiet, mostly peaceful little town that has seen better days, at least economically. Shops and restaurants are regularly closing down. The mall is mostly an empty, lifeless shell, far removed from the hustle and bustle of its glory days. May is at that difficult stage in her life where she is no longer really a child, but not yet fully committed to the notion of adulthood or aware of what is required of most responsible people. She doesn't yet know what she wants to be, which understandably is the source of quite a lot of angst. She spends her days sleeping or aimlessly wandering the town and chatting to the residents, and her nights getting embarrassingly drunk or doing things that she shouldn't with her old friends. These old friends include Greg, a foxy doggy thing, who has nothing but love for May but is probably not the best influence on her. Nevertheless, despite his fondness of crimes and general immaturity, he is at least managing to hold down a steady job at the local snack Falcon and a loving relationship with his boyfriend, the bear thing Angus. May's other closest friend is Bee, a chain-smoking crocodile whose life spent looking after her ailing father and working at their family store every day is starting to take a toll on her health. She's tired, cranky, and more than a bit resentful that May not only up and left, but randomly decided to throw away the opportunities that were afforded to her at college on a whim. Over the course of the game you will mostly be spending your time with these two in various skits. You normally have to choose too. Spending time with Greg means that you won't be seeing Bee and vice versa. As the game goes by, May keeps a journal where she sketches key events that happen, and the only way to complete it is to play through twice so you can do what you didn't do last time. Angus and a strange duck-like bloke known as Germ do also feature in the story a little bit, as well as May's parents and her aunt in the police force, but the trio of May, Greg and Bee are the main focus. The script is incredibly well written, sounding very natural and full of humour. I liked Bee in particular as her snarky comments brought a smile to my face on several occasions. Greg is cool too, but I really didn't spend all that much time with him. Maybe I will play the game again so I can see what he was up to. Underneath the charm and the amusing antics is a darker tale though, which I'm not going to elaborate on here. Just know that the tone of the game starts to shift a bit towards the latter stages, though there are hints that something sinister is coming throughout the game. Yes, the plot and character are definitely the main strengths of Night in the Woods, but that's not all it's got going for it, thankfully. Visually, Night in the Woods is a delight to look at. No, it isn't a polygon-pushing powerhouse with god rays and particle effects spunking in your face at every opportunity, but it is a great example of 2D artwork. The whole game has a cohesive, cartoony style to it, probably because all of the art was created by just one person. It reminds me a bit of Richard Scarry's Busytown, except with a darker and more autumnal colour palette. Gorgeous stuff. While I did enjoy the music while playing through the game, I've found that a lot of it isn't all that memorable outside of the experience, save for a few pieces. I've used those in the background of this video. I was slightly disappointed that the game doesn't feature any voice acting at all, though I understand why there may not be any for budgetary or artistic reasons. I picture Bea sounding like one of Marge's sisters from The Simpsons. Sound effects are used fairly sparingly throughout the game, but are pretty solid when they are used. Being an adventure game at heart, there is quite a lot of talking to people throughout Night in the Woods. Each day in May's life begins with her waking up at home, having a quick chat with Mom, and then heading out to see what's going down in the town. You are relatively free to explore Possum Springs, although it is not a terribly huge location. Usually, by talking to either Greg or Bea, and occasionally other people, you will trigger a story sequence, and then the day will end after it has played out. You are given fair warning that this is going to happen though, in case you want to scour every inch of the town to see what's changed, something I recommend doing to get the most out of the game. Dotted throughout the game are other minigames as well, such as band practice. I was utterly terrible at this unfortunately, and May's journal reflected this. There's also a complete roguelike called Demon Tower, which can be launched from May's laptop in her bedroom. I spent almost an hour playing this and managed to get to level 5 out of 10 I believe, where things started to get pretty challenging. The art style changes to that of a classic 16-bit dungeon crawler, and for a side game it's a very polished experience. I think there is an achievement tied to getting all the way to the end, but like I said, it does get pretty tough after a while. Night in the Woods probably won't appeal to those gamers who like a steady diet of blood, guts and wall-to-wall action, but you probably already know if this is the sort of thing that will appeal to you or not. If you are still on the fence about buying it right now, then I would suggest that you wait for a sale or for the game to be featured in Games with Gold, PS Plus or Xbox Game Pass. It's the sort of thing that I can see being offered up as part of those services one day, and personally I would be thrilled to receive it if I hadn't already bought it of course. This was a bit of a tricky one to score. Games like Night in the Woods have definitely been done before, so it's not that high on innovation, though the cohesive design style, witty writing and arrays of fun mini-games all contribute towards a decent cleverness score. Let's go with a 6 then. Night in the Woods wasn't quite as short as I had been led to believe it was. It took me about a dozen hours to complete, which considering the price is more than reasonable. Then there's the fact that you can play the game over again if you want to see quite a few different scenes from your first time through. The Demon Tower minigame is the very addictive cherry on top, and you could sink a fair few hours into just playing that should you wish. Night in the Woods did take a little while to get its claws into me, but after I had warmed up to May, her friends and the strange world they live in, I really did start to love it. If this sounds like your sort of thing, then I would really recommend checking it out without hesitation. Thanks for watching. I will be back with my review of Oxenfree quite soon. In the meantime, you can check out the written version of this review in the description below. Take care.